so we're going to go in and do today's assignment. First, I want to talk a little bit about the class and that. So tomorrow you guys have a test. Everybody's excited. Access. I told you kick my ass after we got the access. As soon as we get done, this class gets way easy. So if you've survived at this point, it's almost like Survivor of the Island. So a few things going on. One thing, Thursday we have a holiday. Normally we meet on Thursday, but it's Veterans Day. So I've kind of moved some stuff around. So after we have, get down here, week 8, we have the access test on Tuesday. Then there's really nothing assigned to the 12th. So we'll kick it clear back out to Friday. Oh, why do I have something assigned on the 12th? I'll have to look at that. So yeah, you'll have the training on the 12th. So Friday I do have it up, but I won't be here. I'm going taking first leave day. So I will put it up there that you can do the training. And that's all you'll have to do, and then we'll start the PowerPoint, which you guys will love the PowerPoint. Also, as we get closer to the end of this class, your final. You have two options for the final. One of them is you can do a presentation. I have all the requirements up there. So when you get into submitting this final topic deal, you'll see here is I have all the requirements here for your final and that. Or you can go in and do what's called the mouse training. And it's just these trainings, 53 tasks, pretty simple training. So you need to do a presentation. It's 8 slides, has a video in that. So if you have a presentation you did for another class, maybe you want to redo it, there's some requirements in there. In fact, if you go in, so I know we're a couple weeks out, and we've got the whole Thanksgiving break, but I just kind of want to put it on your schedule or plate to think about it. Because as you start looking at the PowerPoint, you know, if you're going to do the presentation, all you have to do is upload, and there's requirements in here. It tells you everything. List of final requirements, you know, the minimum requirements. And so this PowerPoint's pretty in-depth. I mean, but if you like doing this, and most people love playing with PowerPoint, and like I said, if you got another class and you did one. Now, let me ask this. I wrote a speech on spotted owls when I was in college, and I turned it in for English paper. I failed the freaking English paper. Is that allowed? The instructor's comment was, I used it as a speech in another class. Yeah, you're not allowed to take one paper from one class and submit it to another class. I did not know that going through college. I've told you before, I'm the only college professor you ever had flunked out twice, too. So what I learned really fast, if you tweak stuff. And so what I did is I gave the same paper, but I tweaked it. So before I was all about saving spotted owls, next thing I was about how you roast them, cook them, eat them, how they taste that. And then flat. So it's kind of funny, you know, be careful. You get some pretty anal structures, is what I'm trying to say. But on this final project, I don't care. If you had one, especially the energy guys, or, you know, and I don't know, Debbie's not a big PowerPoint person, but I don't know if you guys ever had to do one in your ag class. So as you go through, look at this, and like I said, if you decide to go with the training route, the training's 53 tasks. It's pretty simple. You just rather do the training. It's not the exams. Just click and learn this. So we'll get there. Okay, let's go into today's assignment. So we got to be logged in here. I'm in here. I need to go to my classes. Come down to here. Find today's date, which is November 8th. Loving the weather today. We'll go ahead and start this. So you have the instructions. We don't need to do the instructions. We're just going to click on this database file, and it's going to download. It's going to save in our downloads. And one thing I do, once I save this file, is I go into my downloads here, and I cut that out of there so I don't get confused. Now, these PCs, you may not, but at home then, I'm doing these all the time. So when I right-click on this, my downloads, I cut it out of here, and then I'm going to go put it into my documents. And I make a new folder. So I'm going to go in here and make a new folder, and I'm going to call it Access Chapter 3. And the only reason I do that so I don't get it confused with Chapter 2, Chapter 1. So I just make a folder, right-click, make a new folder, now paste this file in there. And the same way with the test. Now, the test you can leave in downloads. If you want to work from downloads, just know where it's living. You know, that's the big thing about database. Next thing we have to do is just right-click on this and rename it. And we click right on the end of it. Don't wipe out the whole name. Just put a 2 on the end of it. So all these files have to have a 2 on the end of it. So quite a few steps just to kind of get started with the database. Now we can double-click this. I know it's living in documents, my Access Chapter 3. And I can double-click this and open it. The next thing I do is enable this content, and I open up this grading info table. 99% of the time, it will have your name there. Now, 1% of the time, for some reason, sometimes we'll send you a file, won't have your name, won't have this here. If that happens, you want to just shut this out, delete this out, and re-download it. Because if you try to submit this for a grade, it never will give you a grade. So once I know that's there, I can close that. We're good. Everybody got this open? Chihuahuas in back of Chevy, man. Okay. So since I have math and I have a hard time hearing. Step 1. We're working for this rough hill. We need to go to the records. An additional staff table need to be append to a professional staff table. Create a pin query. So we go to create. Every query you build will be under query design, except for a crosstab query. And so tomorrow when you come in the test, I'll have notes to remind you, but if we're doing a crosstab query, we have to go to query wizard, but we're going to go query design. We pick the table, so in this table that we want to use is the records and additional staff table, so additional staff, and close out. Now, if for some reason I need another table, whatever, you can always go to Show Tables, right-click and Show Tables, and add more tables in here. But this is the only table we should have. We want to put all the records in here. So we're just going through and make sure you get staff ID, first name, last name, position, clinic ID. Okay. Now this is going to be a pin query. So we're going to go in here and go to a pin. What it's saying there is, okay, when you hit a pin, what table do you want to pin this to? And it says that we're going to pin the records to the professional staff. So we have to pull this little arrow down and find professional staff, and it's towards the very bottom. So it should be the bottom one in your deal there. Once you have professional staff here, just hit OK. Now when we run this, and this is why I say this access test is easy. I want to show you this before we run this. What I can do is say, okay, I'm taking this additional staff table here. How many records are in it? I just open it up to look. You can't have this open when you do this pin. Let me close this field list. But I can see really fast there's 5 records. I'm going to close this. So when I run this query, you go here, design. You probably have design here. You hit run. Hopefully it says you're appending 5 records. Yes. Now it tells us to save this query. So I'm going to go up here and hit this little save icon at the very top. And we're going to name this append staff. And I know Larissa's dealt with this and other ones of you where you've lost 11 points somewhere and you look at your damn table and you know it looks just like what it's supposed to be. A space, anything. This access is picky, and I sent you a note back about that. So be very careful about your spelling. We say okay, and now we close this table. Now, and this is how anal I am, just to make sure I'm open for the professional staff, and hopefully what I see at the bottom of this, these 5 records have been added to this. So that's why I say the database test is kind of easy, because you can check your stuff to make sure it worked. And they do have the 5 records, so I just open that to make sure. Open the family table in design view. So I double click family table, and then we have to click on the pencil here. We're in data sheet view, and we have to go to design view. So we click this pencil. I love design view for building tables now. What they want us to do is delete the county field. So over here in the county, you have to click this little gray box and make sure you're on the county. And this is very crucial that it is the county one. Now you're going to right click on that little gray box and come down to delete row. It's going to tell you, hey, I'm going to permanently delete, so make sure you have the right one. Now after we delete the county, they want us to change the data type, this income field over here, to currency. So it's a number right now, so I just click on data type and I come down to currency. And then down here under decimal places, they want us to set this to 0. You could type a 0 there. I hit the little down arrow and always choose it. I'm just afraid I might hit the letter O and screw this up. So we want to make sure we have currency here. We go into decimal places, set that to 0. And then it says just save the changes to the table. So if we close it, save it, yes. It'll tell you some data might be lost because remember we set that decimal. Don't worry about that if you get an error like this. Yes, because we set it to 0. To make sure, I'm going to open up my family table and make sure the county isn't in there. And it's not, so that's cool. And that money over there didn't have a decimal place on it. Everybody all right? Should I take the test tomorrow, like the red monkey or something? Using a query. Delete the records in family table where income value is greater than $55,000. So once again, we're going to create a query. from design. We have to figure out what table we're doing. So since we're going to use the family table, now this is going to be a delete records. Okay, so using query delete records of family table where the income value is greater than 55,000. So I'm going to hit delete here. That brings up the little delete box. I need to add these two fields. So they want me to have the income field. I could have put the income field and then hit the delete box. Okay. So we want to come down here for where it says where here, and that's what it should. We want the criteria to be greater than 55,000. Now, real fast, how many records do you guys think we're going to delete? Before I ever run this, I know I'm running this on the family table, so I'm just going to open this family table really fast, go over here and just see, and there's only one record in here that's more, the very bottom one's more than 55,000. So when I run this query, you're under design, you hit run, hopefully it says I'm deleting one row. I kind of check my work is what I'm saying. So you should hit that run. It says yes, deleting one record. Now we need to save this query, so we hit the little save icon, and we're going to name this one delete high, and spell what's on your guys' step 3. Don't follow me, I'm a terrible speller. That's why I get so frustrated with this program. Delete high income. Okay? And then I'm going to go back and just hit the view button here. It tells you to run it, view it. And it'll just show me the field when I run that, you know. So what I want to make sure when you run, yes. Okay. So you have the query built. Okay, go to create. Notice you query for design. Want the family table. Say close that. And then you want to go down to the bottom, add income. Okay, that's there. Now you go up to a delete query. You want to go down here. Yeah, and then click on the criteria greater than 555,000. Okay, you run that query. One record, yes. And go up to save that. And take that in there. Okay. So sorry about that. So when we look at this query, if I try to look at it, all it gives me is what the query is. But if I go back to the table that we're doing this family table, what I want to make sure is that over here under the income, I have none there greater than 55,000. I see that one record got deleted out of there. Anyway, we can close that. This one I've missed 3 times now. Hopefully I'm going to get it right this time. Open the clinics table in design view and create a validation rule for state field. So I need to open the clinics table. I need to be in design view by clicking the pencil. Okay. Real fast, while we're in here, it's going to tell me to do this validation rule. I have no clue how to do this. Where do I go? I just go in here, open my textbook. Okay. I come up here in the textbook, and if you have a hard copy, I keep hard copy up here. It's a lot easier. I just pull this down and come down to Chapter 3, Access. And there's a lot of chapters in here. I even put extra chapters for more advanced students. Well, if we go Chapter 3, Maintain Database, then I come down here to Validation Rules. That's what we're working on this section. And I can go in here and look at the default values and that, and it will walk me through how to do this. And it explains how to do this. So, anyway, back to this. That's how I figured this out the first time. Hopefully I get it right this time. So on this one, it says open this table design view, create a validation rule for state field. So I have to click on state field. I have to come down here for my validation rule. Click on this validation rule here. The validation rule will be equals ID or equals MT or equals OR or equals WA. So, got to be in the rule, not in the text. So what we're saying here, hey, this has got to equal ID, MT, or OR, so it's got to be one of them 4 states. The text right below this, validation text. Now, when you click off that, you'll see this puts us in little quotes up there around your state field, saying so it does it for you. If that's the SQL language going in there, don't worry about it. And in here, we've got text that must be ID, comma, MT, comma, OR, comma, or WA. So it's in bold on step 4. So exactly like it has on the deal. Once I do that, it says save the changes to the table. So I just hit the little save icon up here. And it's going to tell me data integrity change existing because you're putting new rules. Yes. Okay, everybody go with that? Make sure everybody gets that. Now, what I want to do is I want to test this out. It doesn't tell me to do it, but I'm going to go up here and hit Data Sheet View. I'm going to go in here, and it has a primary key here, so we have to put some stupid number here. I don't care what number you do, because we're going to delete this record out. Let's put 8 here. Let's go over the state field and try to put New Jersey, capital NJ. Or try to put anything besides the 3 rules that we had. As soon as I click off this field over here into the postal code, I should get the error message that tells me must be ID, MT, OR, WA. Cool with that? So I kind of know my rule works, what I'm saying. So I say OK. Now I need to get rid of this record, though, and it's going to keep telling me that. So now I'm going to go back there and put MT in, because that's a loud one. Okay, now I can click on the postal code and it lets me put that record in. But we need to delete this record out. So I'm going to right click over here where this pencil is. And I'm going to say delete that record back out. I know that's a pain and you don't have to check it, but I just wanted to make sure my rules work. And now I can close this. So just make sure there's only 5 records. I don't think it'd mess up, but if we need to use that for a query later on in this assignment, it could possibly blow that up. That's why I want to make sure that when you get done with this, you go back into this clinics table, make sure you only have these 5 records. We haven't changed anything. Okay. Step 5, relationships. These are awesome. Stephen, where do relationships live with all these tabs? Relationship. Database tools. That's the only time we ever go over that, database tools. We go to database tools. We go to relationship right here. Okay? When we do relationships, it's just check the data in tables. So on this one here, they want us to create it between the family table and patients table. So I click on family table and patients table. And then close this box. Next thing I do is make sure I can see all the names in here. So when we do relationships, the 2 tables have to have exactly the same name fields. So what fields do both these tables have? They're exactly the same, family ID. So I know right away without reading the instructions, I'm going to click on family ID, hold my mouse down, and drop it right on family ID. And then I'm going to check this that says family ID there. Okay? And then it tells me to enforce referential integrity. So what this is going to do is that since it's primary key, there's only 1 in here, and there's many of these in here. So I'm going to hit create. And I should have a 1 to infinite sign saying, hey, yeah, there's 1 record for each one of these. So it's just checking the data between these. So there isn't one in one table that isn't in the other table. This is used a lot. Once we do that, we close this and save it. Yes. Relationships are easy. No, they're not. From a guy that's been married 3 times, they're not easy. Okay. Open the health service table. Now we need to go up to design view, so we click on the pencil. Almost all these tables, when you work with them, you're always in design view, unless you're trying to add a record to that. What we want to do is make the service code field a primary key. So to do that, we have the little primary key, make a service code field. We've got that one highlighted. We hit primary key. It puts a little gold key outside it. Now ensure that any letters entered in the service code, so this same field here, under format here, come down to format, and we just put a greater than sign. That is the rule for capitalizing all the letters. It's pretty simple, but where the heck do you find that? I had to go Google it. Because when I went through and did this lesson, chapter 3, and I just did it this last week, I couldn't remember where that was, so I just went out and Googled how did I, but anyway, that's where it is. So now I've got that, I put that in there. So now it says, you sure the any letters in service codes upgrade, save the change to the table, so I can close it, say yes, save it. Step 7, using an update query, update the field values in the state mimic field of the income levels table. So I go over here to create. I'm doing a query design. Okay. When I do this, I want to have the income levels table, and I can close that. So I'll make sure. So I got query, went to create query design, make sure I've got this income levels table. Now we want to add the state mimic table. Okay. And now we're doing what's called an update query. So we go up here and we hit update. There's an update query box right here. Okay, and then right here in this update field, it's going to say, what do you want to update these to? It's 16780. But they say, for all records with the value where the county field is Twin Falls. So I've got to go add county. So add the county field over here. Under criteria, don't put it in the update tube, but under the criteria here, I want this to be Twin Falls. You got to be dang careful you spell this right. I'm going to go up here and save this query, so I'm going to hit the little save icon. They want me to name this a stupid long name, update state min Inc. So it's there in bold on step 7 at the bottom. This is the query name. Run this query, and you should say I'm updating 4 records when you run this. So you hit the little run icon. Okay. So now we can close this query. Once again, what table did we update? Income levels. So I go over here to income levels, and I look for Twin Falls here and make sure that in the state MIC I got 1680. So I'm just checking to make sure that this worked. So every one of these Twin Falls got updated to 16780. That's what I'm saying about this access test actually being the easiest. You kind of know what you're doing because you can check your work and know that you're right or wrong. Only 2 more. This is really easy stuff, isn't it? Somebody does it with me. Step 8, open the income levels table. So I'm going to open this table back up. I'm going to go into design view. I need to add a calculate field name Inc difference to the end of the table. So I come down here to the end of the table. I put Inc difference. It's going to be very careful with your spelling. Don't type what I type what they have on the paper, because sometimes I don't get that. Yeah, I got it right this time. Over here, they want this to be a calculate field, so when we pull this down, we're going to have to make it a calculate field. When we hit calculate field, it's going to bring up the expression builder. Now we just have to figure it out. You all right, kid? Shake your head like, oh, right, kid. I can never see your face, so I don't know if you're smiling or just freaking out. We need to go in here and add a calculate field, and I've done it in the end table. The field is relative subtracting state mean Inc from income. So which one do I want first? I want state Inc or min or income. Income. So you double click income, click behind that up here, put a minus sign, and I'll tell you, if you look over your number keypad, all your expressions over there, there's a minus, plus, divide, times are over there top right. It's a lot easier to try to find them across the keyboard. If you're doing a time test, your access test won't be timed tomorrow, so it's not a big deal, but just a big tip. Once I put that in there, now I need to add the other field, which in this case was the state Inc. So I double click this one. So in our expression, it should say income minus state Inc. What a name for a table. We say OK. So save the changes to the table. So you can close it, save it, however you want. I'm just hitting the little save icon up here because I want to go in and go to dash sheet view and look at this. When I hit my dash sheet view over here, I want to see an Inc difference over here. And I'm just kind of in my head saying, okay, I had 43,000, I take 17,000 away, that's 26,000, so it worked. I'm just kind of checking my work there by going to data sheet view. You can close that. Last one. Switch the income levels table to data sheet view. So I should have left it open, but I'll just open it back up. And when I do open it back up, it goes right in data sheet view. Add the caption tax income to the income field. So first I got to come over here and click on this income field, anywhere over here in the income field. Up here under home, it was, nope, it's under fields. Under fields here, when I have that field, name and captions right here. Okay, so make sure you're in the income field. Go up here, hit the fields tab, name and caption. In the caption box right here, we're going to type tax income. So before this just said income, it's now going to have up there on the top that tax income. Okay. The next thing they want us to do is add a totals to this data. You guys remember how to add totals? Go back to home, and there's a totals button here. Now I don't have to worry about what field I have selected. When I hit totals, it just puts the totals across, and then I got to come down here and choose what totals I want. The totals that they want me to add to this is a maximum for income. Well, remember our income becomes tax income, so I got to come down here and click in this tax income box. I hit the little down arrow, and I want a maximum. Make sure in the tax income, I got this wrong because I was in the wrong field. Right next door to that, they want us to put an average in state Inc. So I go over here and click on to make sure the total row, and I pull this down and put an average. So I've got 57,001 and 19,923 in the other one. Once we have that in there, hit the save button, or I could close this and save it. I always go up and hit this little save button, make sure, but I close it, and that is it. Very last step, we've got to compact repair this. You go over here to File, and as soon as you hit File, there's this compact repair. On your test tomorrow, good chance when you click this, you're going to get a big error message. It might pop up that says, unable to compact repair your database. If that happens to you, just close this database really fast, go right back in your folder where that database was, open it back up. For everybody, it worked here today, but just go to File and hit compact repair again. If that would happen to you, get that error. The second time, it'll always compact repair. I don't know why it does that on the test. We have that done now. I always make sure my database is closed so that everything's saved. We don't have to save as. I hit this drag and drop. Make sure I go in my chapter 3. Now I gotta remember I put it in documents this time, where I put it, chapter 3. And then submit. Plug your ears in case I miss something. I better not miss anything. I've did this enough times. Graded summary report. Some of you guys are sending me this file. Do not send me this file. So when I clicked on that, I go into my folder, and under downloads is this report. You open up this report, you go down to grading report here and open it up. Take a snip of this score here. So I've got people turning this whole database, and it is a nightmare for me to grade. And some of you are taking way bigger pictures. All I need is the information, your score. I'll come around and help anybody that didn't get 100%, but just turn this into Canvas, and you are done. Make sure you save that somewhere. And like when I do the snip, I always save it as a score with today's date